Assalamu alaikum grade ones. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to our next lesson, okay? So until now we've done a lot of reading. We've done a lot of reading comprehension. We've learned about sequencing stories. We've become experts at certain type of sentences, right? So that's awesome. What have we learned about sentences until now? We've learned telling sentences, we've learned the rules of a sentence, and we've learned surprising sentences, okay? So today we're gonna backtrack a little bit and we're going to talk about capitalization, okay? So capitalization, okay? So this will be on the second part of this lesson. So first we're going to start off with some reading comprehension as usual, because I want you guys to read oh so well, right? And then we're going to do capitalization activity, okay? So this is going to teach you all of the things that you need to know when you're writing, because guess what's going to happen once you learn all of these rules? You're going to get to write your own mini story, right? And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to learn about. So the more we learn about writing, the more we learn about reading, the more awesome your story writing will be. Okay, guys? So I have two sheets over here. We have a story and then we have some sheets that we can do together, okay? And then I'm going to, I may provide you with extra sheets to practice capitalization, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to read this story and just make sure that we're listening with our ears, okay? So all of this. So come on in, nice and close. And we are going to go ahead and read the story. Okay, boys and girls, so here we are. This little miniature story is called The Storybook Club, okay? So here's the picture down here. We have, I guess that's a teacher reading a story to his students, right? Amazing. So I wonder what this story is about. It says The Storybook Club. So here we go. My friends and I have a storybook club. Each Saturday morning, we meet at someone's house to read storybooks together. We each bring one storybook and then take turns reading our story to everyone else. Once a month, one of our mothers takes us all to the library. We love going there. Sometimes there's an author at the library and he or she reads a story to us. Sometimes the librarian reads stories. After story time, we look at the books on the shelves. My friends and I each choose 3 books to take home. I like our storybook club very much. So here we go. It looks like they're at the library actually, right? And we learned that from the story, right? If we were reading carefully, it says that sometimes they get to go to the library and usually there's an author, right? And this must be the author. And do you know what an author is? So an author is somebody who writes a book, right? So you know, there has to be somebody who writes the storybooks that we read, right? So they're called authors. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that little story. Let's see what activities are going to be waiting for us. Okay, grade ones, so we read the Storybook Club as our reading, okay? So the first part of this lesson, as I said before, is going to be reading comprehension, right? It's very important to understand what we are reading. So we read this, it was very simple, it was good. It's actually a good idea, right? To be able to get together with your friends and all of you get to pick a story and you get to read it to one another. What a creative way to practice our reading, right? Amazing. So for the comprehension part, so we did the reading part, now we're going to do comprehension, okay? So the instructions for this are color the things that the children do at the storybook club, okay? So remember that if you are doing, we're answering questions about the story, and we don't know the answer, we will go back to the story to be able to find the answer. Okay, so we're gonna just go ahead and read through each sentence to see what it is that we are actually looking for in the story. Okay, so color the book for the things that the children do at the storybook club. Okay, so they take turns to read stories, they write a short story, they borrow other storybooks, they go to the library once a month, they read stories to an author, or borrow some books from the library. Okay, so let's go back and read the story again together, because this time it's not like the other things that we did. We're not putting them in order. We're just making sure that we color the ones that actually are written in the story. So what do they do in the storybook club? Right? And just by reading the story again, we can easily find most of the answers, or well, actually we can find all of the answers, but it will make it easier for us to read the story and be able to remember what was in it. Okay, so again, it's called the Storybook Club. My friends and I have a storybook club. Okay, each Saturday morning we meet at someone's house to read storybooks together. Okay, so each Saturday morning, I'm gonna underline it. Each Saturday morning we meet at someone's house to read storybooks together. We each bring one storybook and then take turns reading our story to everyone else. So we can do, we each bring one storybook and then take turns reading our story to everyone else. Great. Okay, once a month, let's color that, let's underline. One of our mothers takes all of us to the library. Okay, that's important too. We love going there. Sometimes there is an author, okay? There is an author at the library, and he or she reads stories to us. So they read stories to them, okay? Sometimes the librarian reads stories. After story time, we look at the books on the shelves. My friends and I each choose 3 books to take home. I like our storybook club very much. Okay, so here we go. Let's read through all of the choices once again, okay? Take turns to read stories. Write a short story. Borrow other storybooks. Go to the library once a month. Read stories to an author. Borrow some books from the library. Okay. So what I want you to do now is we're going to go through these together, and you tell me whether or not each one is in the story, okay? So did the story say that the children take turns to read stories? I'll give you a few seconds. Yes, you're right. They did say that, right? And we underlined it over here. Right here. We each bring one storybook and then take turns reading our stories to everyone else, okay? So everybody gets a chance to read. So that's what the first one was, okay? The next one, write a short story. So during Storybook Club, do you think they're writing a short story or they're reading stories? You're right, they are reading. So we're not going to color this one in because during Storybook Club, they're not writing stories, right? Okay, so borrow others' storybooks. So are they borrowing each other's storybooks? Did we see that in the story itself? I don't think we did, right? So we're going to go ahead and draw an X over here because it's not in the story, so we don't need to color the book in, okay? So number 4, go to the library once a month. So do they go to the library once a month? Yes, they do, right? So look at the very first sentence over here. Once a month, One of our mothers takes us all to the library. Amazing. So what do? We go ahead and color this book in. You can choose to color it with a different color. I'm just using my pencil, okay, guys? Okay, so number 5, it says, read stories to an author. The key word here is to an author, right? Because we did in the story read something about an author. What does the author do, right? So let's go back. Look here. So when they go to the library, we love going there. Sometimes there is an author at the library and he or she reads stories to us. He or she reads stories to us. And let's see the question over here. Read stories to an author. So do the children read stories to the author? No, right? They don't, right? The author reads their story to them. Amazing. Okay, so right now we only have 2 books colored in out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of 6 books, okay? So we're gonna go do the last one, okay? Number 6 says, borrow some books from the library. So do the children borrow books from the library? Well, let's take a look over here. Here we go. Sometimes the librarian reads stories. After story time, we look at the books on the shelves. My friends and I choose 3 books to take home. So they are taking home library books, right? So are they borrowing the library books from the library or are they buying them? They're borrowing from the library, right? They're free. It's free to borrow books from the library. Amazing. Okay, so boys and girls, we've colored in 3 out of 6 books, okay? So we colored in number 1, take turns to read stories. Number 2, write a short story, and that's not right. Borrow other storybooks, and that's not right. Go to the library once a month, ding ding, it's right, so we colored it in. Read stories to an author. No, it's not right, so we didn't color it in. And the last one is borrow some books from the library. Amazing, we colored it in. Good work, guys, okay? So, what's next on this sheet is draw a cover for your favorite storybook. So think of all the different types of books you enjoy reading on your time, okay? You remember which story is Miss Aisha's favorite, right? And who the author is. So my favorite story is called Mortimer, and the author was Robert Munsch, right? And I love that book, and I read it to you guys probably 1,000 times, right? And you guys enjoy it as well. So what I would do if I was doing this part of the sheet, but I'm not going to do it. You guys are going to do it, take a picture of it and send it to me. But if I would draw a picture of Mortimer, I would draw a nice title page, color it in all nice, and then if I wanted to write a sentence to tell why I like it, I would write, I like the story Mortimer because it is very funny and I really enjoy reading it. Okay, so that's just one example of why you would like a story, right? So you get to pick the story that you want and you get to tell me about it, okay? So let's go back to the board, okay? Okay, grade 1s, so awesome job on the reading comprehension part of this lesson, okay? So I just want to quickly talk about why reading books is really important, right? What's so important about reading? Why is it that Miss Aisha is doing so much reading with you guys and so much reading comprehension with you guys? Well, reading is really important because we do it every day, sometimes without even realizing that we're reading, right? So for example, do you know that you do reading when you go grocery shopping? Oh, you didn't know? Well, this is how, okay? So let's say you're walking down the aisle and you pick up a pack of cookies and you look at it and you're like, this looks good. And you read the name of the cookies and what's in the cookies. You read the ingredients, right? And you look at it and it says chocolate chip cookies. Well, if you didn't know how to read, would you be able to read chocolate chip cookies? No, you wouldn't, right? So that's one thing that's one way that we do reading in our everyday lives, right? Same thing goes for when we're playing games, or I don't know, when we're looking at books. So these are things that help us. So practicing reading now at an early age will help you become excellent at reading. And you know, reading is really good. It's good for our brains. It's relaxing, right? Sometimes when we're really, really stressed out or we're feeling unhappy, picking up a book to read is an amazing thing to do, right? It's good for us. It's good for our bodies, our souls. It helps us relax, right? So for this part, after we did the reading comprehension, and it was a short story, so we did an excellent job. What I want you guys to do now is do this side of the sheet, okay? So there's a storybook, it's a blank book. What you get to do is you get to pick your favorite storybook and you get to draw a title page, right? So it doesn't have to be like the cover of your favorite storybook. You can still put the title as whatever your favorite storybook is and draw a completely different picture according to your imagination. You can be creative. I have no problem with that. And then what you can do after that is you can write one sentence about why you like the storybook, right? So for example, I like the storybook because it's funny. I like the storybook because the character is really brave. I like the story because it makes me feel happy, right? These are all great sentences that you guys can write. And remember, a sentence starts with a capital letter and it ends with a period, right? Amazing. So when you've done that, make sure you put some color on your page, okay? Mom and dad can snap a picture, send it to me through Class Dojo, either online portfolio or through private message. And I'm very excited to see all of your favorite stories. Maybe I'll go out and read some, okay? Maybe I'll go on the internet and see if I can find it to read it. Amazing. Okay, so grade ones, great job on the first part of this lesson. I'll see you in lesson number 2. Until that time, Assalamu alaikum.